Hey there, Fredheads, Carl the Theorist here, and welcome back to the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline. Yeah, I know it's been a while, but I've been busy with life, plus I had to re-edit Part 4, and I do have to re-edit Part 5 as well. Anyway, I'm not even going to start with anything else. Let's just get to it. We're currently in 1983, so let's start Part 4, Strings of Fear. During a rainy night in March, Charlie was locked outside the pizzeria. The puppet was stuck inside its music box, a ton of boxes stacked on top of it by some teenagers. A purple car pulled up next to her, chasing her into the alleyway right outside the building. William Afton stepped out of the car and gave a menacing grin. As he approached Charlie, he pulled out a knife from behind his back and quoted the killer from Psychopath. "Hello, Charlotte, and goodbye." With those words, Charlie's death was quick and silent. Blood soaked into the rain as William hopped back into his car and drove away. The puppet finally burst out of its music box and rushed outside towards the alleyway, short-circuiting in the rain. It laid down next to Charlie's lifeless corpse, cradling it in its arms, and its eyes closed one final time before lighting up again, this time 2 white dots. Purple tear tracks stained the puppet's mask, the two becoming one. Evan quickly locked his bedroom door, terrified for his own safety. He knew how much of a horrible person his father truly was, and when he got home, Evan was going to be his punching bag again. With quick thinking, he broke the window and carefully climbed out, seeing a shadowy version of Freddy in the distance. He followed the bear away and wound up at Freddy's. The shadowy bear led Evan to the alleyway, and there, what he saw changed his life forever. William rushed onto the highway, running over a dog without even a shred of hesitation or guilt. He headed to the local restaurant, Junior's, and was eager to head inside, only to be turned away at the door. Now angry, he headed home to take out his frustrations on his youngest son, Evan. As Michael begged him to leave the poor child alone, William banged on the door, screaming. After getting no response, he went around to the side of the house, only to find out that the window was shattered. Evan had run away to Freddy's again, and this time, he would be sorry when he got home. William began working on a few major projects. The first one being a sound illusion disc that used a high-pitched frequency to distort your perception of something. He developed dozens of these and made sure to hide them in his newest creations, the Funtime animatronics. These new Funtime animatronics were specifically designed to lure away and capture children. As such, each one was equipped with a special feature like misdirection, voice mimicry, parental tracking, and a couple of them had storage tanks. On top of that, they were huge, topping 7 feet in some instances. The incident with Charlie had caused Freddy's to close for the weekend, and while Candy's Burgers and Fries was a good secondary option, the security there was way too high, and William wasn't eager to go back there anytime soon. Instead, he chose to open his own restaurant, Circus Baby's Pizza World. A restaurant attraction for kids and grown-ups of all ages that included multiple attractions starring many different animatronics. Funtime Freddy, Funtime Chica, and Funtime Foxy were over on a side stage. Balloon Boy, Dee Dee, and JJ were at the prize corner. Allura and her mini Renus would be on another side stage. And finally was the main stage area. This was where the restaurant would feature its star attraction, Circus Baby. Business was booming on day one until Elizabeth snuck out to see Baby after being repeatedly told not to. When Baby offered her ice cream, Elizabeth approached the animatronic and reached out for the ice cream cone, only to end up being violently scooped up inside the animatronic. It didn't take long before the blue eyes of Circus Baby shifted into the green eyes of Elizabeth. Unbeknownst to Baby, someone had been watching the whole time, Evan. And unfortunately for him, his problems and trauma were only beginning. The aftermath of Elizabeth's death was the worst time of Caroline Afton's life. William had become much more distant, throwing himself into his work. At night, Evan would often need to be tucked into bed, and because of how terrified he was, she'd sing him a simple lullaby she called Crumbling Dreams. She even recorded herself singing it, giving him the cassette and the tape player so that he could play it whenever he was scared at night. Eventually, Caroline followed William all the way down to Circus Beatty's rentals. Having no idea where she was, she walked around until she heard a very familiar melody, the melody of her lullaby. Following the sound, she realized it was coming from Ballora. Caroline reached out to touch the animatronic, only to feel her mouth being covered and a knife being plunged into her side. "You're never leaving this place alive, my love. Now your dreams will crumble." She didn't have to look back to recognize William's voice. In her last moments of life, she crawled over towards the Ballora animatronic, desperate to hear her lullaby one last time. As she heard it, the light in her eyes faded, a similar light slowly forming behind the shut eyes of Ballora. William quickly hid Caroline's lifeless body in a nearby vent. Soon after he had left the distribution center, Ballora slowly stood up and began to sing the all-too-familiar lullaby. The following week, Evan would be haunted by the memories of Elizabeth's final moments. At night, he'd have nightmares of the animatronics, opening his bedroom door to find a much larger-looking Fredbear with a mouth on its stomach. Little did he know, it wasn't just a nightmare. William had created animatronic endoskeletons to roam around the house at night and surround the kid's room. At times, he'd be startled awake and check his door, only to find an endoskeleton there. And thanks to William's illusion discs, he would see the animatronics instead of the endoskeletons. If it were on the left, Evan would see a nightmarish-looking bunny. On the right, he'd see Chica. Closet, Foxy. Bed, Freddy. All of them were much more nightmarish-looking than usual. Until 6 o'clock a.m., when his alarm would start ringing. 6 a.m., time to wake up. That's going to go ahead and wrap it up for part 4, Strings of Fear. Things are getting pretty spicy, and the next part will be pretty important. I'll see you guys next time, and I will have another character profiles episode that I'm working on currently ready to go before part 5. See you then.